Today's session is CSS is on CSS. So, what is CSS? So, in a real world scenario, if HTML uh, is for structure, like the bones in a body, and CSS is all about styling that, like the skin, flesh, you know, the other attributes of a person. So, that means HTML gives the basic structure, and style or CSS gives the shape shape of the object. So that CSS builds the shape, color, and other attributes, whereas HTML only gives the proper structure. So having said that, so what is CSS? CSS stands for cascading style sheet, and there are different ways that you can write CSS in HTML file. So how does it work? Like, I create some elements like this. Okay, let me type in H I there. Okay, I've written this statement, and if I see this, okay, preview, let me open this site, let me open the HTML. So this is how the H1 renders. So does this a text have basic styling? It looks like yes, because it has some color, it has some font size, it has some font. So this means there is already a set of styles applied on this element. So it's not like if, for example, if I take another paragraph tag, okay, how are you doing? Okay, it's kind of, I'm wishing my customers. Okay, let me come here and refresh. Okay, paragraph tag is looking different. So that means every element that is being rendered onto the HTML page, will have its own styles, pre-configured styles, but you can always change it using HTML. How does that work? So the default styles in HTML, the order of that definition or order of styles actually matters, because in line number 1 here somewhere, line 1 to 3, or you some style, and for the same element in the next few lines, if you actually modified the same property used in line number 1 or 2, so we'll actually get overridden by the next statement. So the order of that definition or order of that style property will actually matter to the CSS. So enough of this task. So let us jump directly onto the coding part. So let me save this. So I want to change something here for this element. Okay, so you can see, using CSS, you can target one element and change some values of the CSS or CSS properties, and you can make it look different. Okay, for example, if you take this, okay, I'm actually inspecting this element, and if I'm inspecting this element, I'm now in Safari. The best way to inspect an element is to use Chrome. It's always preferred to debug your HTML document in Chrome, because I personally prefer the Chrome developer tools uh, over Safari developer tools. I kind of it's again individual choice, but I kind of feel comfortable with developer tools in HTML. So in case if you are wondering what is developer tool, that okay, you have created this website and you wanted to see what's happening with this element and what is the code that is written to generate this element and what is the CSS. You can actually see it here. Okay, you don't need to go to the file and see, what is it here, what is it there, and you don't have to search. You can directly click on, you can select this mouse cursor icon, and you can directly select to that item. So if I click here, if you go here, so it will automatically being highlighted, and if I click this, it will select the particular code block. And you can see this is one of the purposes, one of the use for the developers in developer tools, that you can see what is the style that is applied here and what is the HTML that is written for it. Okay, there are many other tools in developer tools that we will discuss in future, but if you could see, this is the default style. Okay, what is that font weight bold. Okay, so I can come here and say style. So all your styles should go inside style attribute, and the property of style attribute should have all the styles. So let me write it like this: font weight, what was it here, bold. Okay, I can say normal, save it, refresh it. See, actually it was predefined style was font weight bold, but on the element I've written some CSS in the style attribute. I've written some CSS here, and that property and the property value override the pre-configured style. So this is how it works. If you put another statement like this, okay, see, first this overwritten by this, and the next line is this bolder. Okay, now this was overridden by this. Okay, so in CSS you always have to remember, this is the rule number 1: the latest occurrence of the property and its value will be valid, and the previous occurrences will be invalidated. So if you're ever struggling or not able to see the change that you made in the CSS, always verify whether you have written it in the required order. Okay, that's one thing. And yeah, okay, should I create a style attribute and write all the CSS there? That will be kind of not easy for anybody to follow or maintain. Okay, so instead what you can do, this is one way of applying a style to a element, and instead you can rely on another concept called selector in CSS. Okay, so I'm sorry, I opened this accidentally. So yeah, so let me keep this open and let me adjust my, okay, now I can see both of these windows in the same screen. So now, okay, how do I keep my CSS in one place and HTML in one place, to keep my code organized and centralized too? So how can I do that? So you can write your CSS in one location, and you can rely on a concept called selector, and you can select any element irrespective where the element is in the HTML, and you can apply the style. Say you can write here your CSS here. You need to create a style tag like this. Okay, open the style tag. And in the previous lesson, we covered what is a tag and how should you open a tag and close a tag. If you have not seen the video, the link will be in the description below. You can go back and refer it. But this is how you need to create a style tag, and inside the style tag, you can write the CSS. So if you write the CSS somewhere here, like font weight, font weight, bolder, save it, and if you refresh, what is happening? Your text here, it is actually a definition of a CSS property and its value. But since you have written it in the body, this is not a valid CSS, because your intention, the HTML understood that your intention is to render it as a text in the view. So if you keep your CSS in a designated location inside a tile tag, it will not be rendered onto the HTML. So that's the concept. But if you're writing it here, you cannot really say like this: font weight, bolder, and close it. The syntax is not valid. Because why it is not valid? Because you say font weight bolder. Okay, font weight bolder, it is fine, but where should I apply this? That's the question CSS is asking, okay, fine. So now I know that I want to apply this style on the H1 element. Okay. So yeah, H1 itself is a tag. So I can ask you to apply it on a H1 element, but you tend to write multiple lines of CSS for one element, right? You cannot always create one selector and have one CSS in it. If you're creating a selector, so you can put, why do I have to have two braces? Because you need to group your styles. You may not say font weight like this. You would say font size. You want to reduce a font size, and you could say 18 pixels. Or so we might have already you might have already know what is pixels here, but if you don't know, it's a measurement to measure the uh, electronic uh, electronic unit to measure the size of particular. So it's a size bit in the for the electronic media reference. So pixels. Okay. So now font size, you can decide M. There is another M's. You can say centimeters, inches, and you can use all the units. Okay, all the metrics or units here. You can also put it in percentages, but I don't want to make this session complex and go over all the units that are available here. I just wanted to keep this session focused towards CSS. So if you wanted to learn more about everything in CSS, I've given few links, few references below. The goal of this video is to give you an overview of what is CSS and what are selectors, and how can you do a layout using CSS. And the advanced concepts, yes, you always can go back. If you know what is a selector, you can understand different types of selectors, right? So that's the goal of this video, to familiarize you with CSS. So having said that, this is the selector. That means this is called a tag selector. So it will select all the tags that are H1 and apply the styles in between. So let me save this and see there's a change. Okay, so now this style, the font got a little bit bolder and the size got reduced. Okay, let us assume we have few other elements. Okay, same style applied. Okay, if you remove this selector, so nothing is applied. So you can write one selector and have some of the styles applied on all of these elements. Easy, right? Yeah, you can write in one location and it applies on thousands of iterations of the same element. Sorry, thousands of elements of the same type. Okay. So having said that, are there, how many types of selectors are there? Like you can select it by tag, and you can say sometimes you want to apply every element the same style, but the middle line you want it to be something different. Okay, you can customize that. You can have a class, say red heading, not red wedding, red, call it if you know, if you saw Game of Thrones, you know what I'm referring to. So red heading. So I can say the font, I just want, let me change the color to, when I say color to red, don't get confused. I'm trying to change the color of the font to red. Okay, see, everything else is same. These styles are applied on all these elements. The font size applied for all the three elements. Okay, the font weight is already applied for all the three elements. But again, what I said class selector, class, an attribute class called class, and you can have multiple classes with a space separation. So you can have another class here. You can have n number of classes, class 1, class 2, number of class names that you want. You can create any class name you want, and you can write CSS in here, and it will apply. So for this particular element, I changed color. So if you remember the previous thumb rule that I said, the number 10 thumb rule is that the second iteration or a second occurrence of the property will be prioritized. So I can put the font size here and say 32. Okay, save it. See, everything else is same. Okay, bolder. Oh, I can say this to appear normal. So if I say, yeah, it's not bold, right? It's normal. But these two items, these two properties have got replaced. See, H1 has also applied on this element, because since this is an H1 element, the H1 tag styles, because if I hover H1, you can see it is highlighting all the H1 elements, because it is applying on all those elements. So it is applying these two, but again, through this class selector, okay, this is only highlighting the one element. So this is a selector. So when I hover this selector, it is highlighting one. That means this is a selector for this particular element. Since I have the same properties here in this class also, since the class is actually taking the priority, because it is at line number 10 and 11, and these two properties are at line number 15 and 16. So this takes priority. So you could see those items got replaced. So what if I flip this? Okay, just pitch the lines here. Okay, see what has happened here. Okay, there is a hierarchy between the selectors also. Tag selectors will be the CSS properties inside a tag selector will be deprioritized. Okay, and the class selectors styles will be high prioritized. So what if I said order of the line doesn't matter? So let me give you another demonstration. Okay, in the same way, I'll have this same selector. You can have two types. Okay, if you refresh, see the line number 10 got replaced by line number 14 style. So the order the order is actually important. Upon order, the selector type is also considered for prioritizing. Okay, and the class selector will always be deprioritized, and if there is an ID selector, it will be prioritized. So you need to understand these three concepts. The hierarchy is like this. Okay, you need to understand which takes priority and which will become deprioritized. So if you ever see something like you have uh, you have something that you have written and not reflecting, you have to check in that area. Okay, do we have only class and ID selectors? No, sorry, class and tag selector? No, we have ID selector as well. Just give me a second. Sorry guys, I needed that break. So yeah, now since this is good, yeah, we've discussed what is a tag selector, what is a class selector. Okay, there is another selector called ID selector. So I can say ID, and I can have in the class, in the class attribute, you can have different class names, multiple class names, and you can uh, assign CSS to those classes. But for ID, you can only have one. So it's an identifier. That means you are going to be identifying an element. So it should be unique. So you say, this is my first greeting message. Okay. And you can, so the difference here is that this is a ID selector. So you put a dot between a word, before a word, that becomes a class selector. If you put a hash before a word here, it will become a ID selector. You cannot really have spaces here. It should be a class or an ID should be a complete word without, it shouldn't be a complete word, but the name shouldn't have spaces. If you it's your choice, but CSS classes always separated with a semicolon as a general rule, but it doesn't affect, even if you don't keep it, keep your hyphens. If you just wanted to do it this way, it still works, but it is more readable, and it is good practice followed across uh, industry. So it's always better to keep things like this. So just wanted to demonstrate that part. And you can have background color to something. So you can select with a ID selector. So this is how ID selector also works. Okay. And we have other selectors like attribute selectors, pseudo selectors. And since this is a beginner lesson, I just wanted to skip those things, because my focus in this video is more about giving you the basic understanding of CSS and be able to and make you able to understand the the structure of HTML elements, and you manipulate the structure to build your desired page layout. So that's the goal. So for that goal, knowledge on class selector, ID selector, and having the styles familiarized is enough. So yeah, so where can I write CSS? Yeah, you can write in between the style tag, but there is other way, because you can always take out these from your HTML document. You can write it in a separate file called .css with a .css extension. You can name the file whatever you want, but the extension should be .css. So you can have all the CSS in here, and you can link. So see, I have removed, you know, open a Chrome one. I've removed my styles from here, put it in a different file, but I haven't maintained, or I haven't established a link between these two files. So to import a CSS file into HTML, you need to use this tag. So link relationship style sheet, and the href is the path of that file. So this is how you link your CSS. Yeah, see, my styles are back. So you can write all your CSS in one file, and you can link it, and you can maintain two separate distinct sets of the formats. Okay, so now you can write the styles on, remember these things, you can write it on particular element inside a style attribute. This will take the highest priority in rendering CSS. Remember that this will take the highest priority, and then the style tag, and then the external file. So there are three different ways you can write your CSS: on the element, in an external file, or in the same file inside a style tags. So we know where can we write CSS, but it's always recommended that you write your CSS in a different location to keep things more organized. Okay, fair enough. We talked about some of the formatting stuff, like, so this stuff of the CSS properties, I don't believe in running you all through all these CSS properties. It doesn't make any sense somebody to teach you what everything does. Okay, but there are certain basics. Okay, there are certain fundamentals that you should know, and I'm going to teach you that. Okay, so let's say using CSS, you want to create a custom layout, because having a structure in so for every content, the structure is important. Okay, where do you keep your logo, where do you keep your buttons, where do you keep your body content, and where do you keep your footer is always important, because we want our user to focus on the content, the important content. We just want to keep all the content on the page, but we want to see some of the content. We want to put some of the content right in front of the customer, or right in the face of the customer, because he will take the call with ease. So he doesn't. So if, yeah, all the content on the page having the same font size, to know something that is important on the website, he will have to run through all the content. But if you made something bigger, bolder, highlighted with green color, red color, he'll tend to go to that area first, because that's what he thinks, that okay, there's some flashy thing that there might be. So it's a psychological thing again. So that is again a user experience concept, and I don't want to jump into those aspects. But the important thing that you need to understand here is that structuring your content, designing your content, I don't know, digitizing your content, is really important, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So let's say, how do I, mm, structure my content? Let me remove this. Okay, fine. So so if I'm set out to create a portfolio, okay, for myself, okay, what do I want to uh, create? So I want to have a wishing, I want to wish my consumers, and that should it take priority? No, it shouldn't take priority. What should take priority? What are my skills, and how can they contact me? That's what really important. If someone is already searching for me in the Google and coming to my website, so he might have already know me a bit, or he might have found a Google link, he might have searched in Google, and he might have studied a bit of uh, snippet in the Google and then clicked on me. So something might have already intrigued my customer to come to my website. So as soon as in my website is in my website, my goal is to make him contact me. So I want to make him contact me as soon as he lands the page. One thing, I want to create my website simple, beautiful. Yeah, I prefer the, simplicity is the new style or new trend. So I keep my design simple. And then I want to give the user the easiest way to contact me, okay, or easiest way to find uh, my contact details. So yeah, div, I want to say I will use a div tag. I'm not a section, and this. Let's not go into the semantic elements subject or that thing, but I just wanted to keep this simple. So I just will create a container. Okay, this is my whole container link. I just wanted to keep my site inside a container so that I can control the full width or half width or whatever it is. I can control the width of my whole content. So having organized your entire, so don't lose your content in the air. Keep it inside something, because you can control with that one particular elements. So always, create a container, put something. That's how you should structure your elements. So because that's how it is called organizing, right? Create a container and keep something inside it. Containerize it, compartmentalize it. So something like that. And I created a container, and then I say div dot, here I want to say user. See, I'm using classes now. So I may not use much of styles in this ID selectors, different selectors. Now I just keep it simple with class selector. Okay, div, then contact me section. Okay, so I'm just creating the overall structure, the layout, so you can understand all the things here. So yeah, so div dot, now after content, my skills. Okay, skills container, I didn't say container anyway, so I can keep it verbal, you know div outer skills, my experience. Trying to format it here, but it's opening a different, yeah, just format. I always have a habit of, control shift P or command shift P in Mac. So you can find a format document, you can hit format, and it formats your HTML. I kind of fall into that habit of always formatting my content so that it's readable. So yeah, so greet user, I want to have a heading there. Hi, Ganesh here. Good, fine, it's done. Contact me, what do I have? My email ID, mail to. So One will be email, clickable email, then my phone number. Should I keep my phone number? No, I guess my email ID is enough for now. I don't want to public my yeah, my email ID is enough. So I want to say mail to want to keep it. I want to wrap it this here. So I just wanted to keep it inside a paragraph. Inside the paragraph, I want to create a thing. Okay. And put it like this. Okay. So if I refresh, what am I seeing? I'm seeing hello Ganesh. Contact me is missing. Mail to container. Create user. Contact me is empty. Why? Okay. I haven't saved the file. Yeah, my mistake. Fair enough. So contact me should have a. So first I wanted to focus on the contact greeting. I have some reset things to do. So first of all, find something. Do this for me, guys. So if you ask me, there are certain predefined styles from HTML. Sometimes they annoy you. Sometimes they create a lot of annoyment. So I always do this. Okay, reset.css. So do this, find reset.css, and you need to reset some of the styles for your document. It's so if you ask me, there are few things that which doesn't look good, and every time a developer starts a website, he wanted to remove all the default things and start a fresh slate. So this is kind of that. So it gives it's a rubber I don't know, it's a it's a duster for all the um, eraser. It's an eraser for all the default styles for HTML. Think of it as like this. So link it before your file, CSS file, for CSS file. Now if you come back here, you see some of the reset has happened. Like your default styles, most of the default styles have gone. So now you have a clean slate. I prefer to work with this. I want to clean my slate and then put my paint. I just wanted to be the style my way, because if I apply some style, it is being intervened by some other style. I don't want like this. I just want an empty slate and I just keep drawing it. Okay, now I have the greet. So let me close the reset and CSS. So what is my first class here? The container. Okay, I just want my container to just contain all the space, like, so it needs to have a full width. What is width? Okay, and what is, I said width 100%. Okay, for the container. This really didn't make any change. If you see, so width 100%. Even if you don't say so, it'll actually take width 100%. But I just wanted to be, as a better practice, keep your container to a specific size that you wanted to create. So I said width. Okay, fine. Now inside it, I just have this greet user. So now greet user is my class, and I say height to 300 pixels. Save it. Okay, can you see what is happening? It has taken a height of 300 pixels, but see, as soon as I defined some height, it has occupied certain space and pushed everything in the bottom to below. So that means you are creating boxes here in CSS. Whenever you are creating a layout, think of as you are stacking flexible blocks, okay, your bricks. So think of like this: you're building a wall with elastic bricks. The bricks can expand and minimize based on your input, the force you apply. If you say 300 pixels force, it will occupy 300 pixel space. It will become 300 pixels brick, and if you keep in the structure, it will take up the place and push everything to the right hand side. Think of as if you are building a wall with flexible bricks. So this is my first brick. Okay, my container, my main brick is already in place. So I already stretched it. It's like a frame. The container is, imagine a container like a frame. I already have a frame, and it is a flexible frame, and I wanted to keep some structure inside the frame, and I just wanted to keep everything flexible. Okay, just imagine like that. Now I've taken 300 pixels. No, I really don't think greeting my user need 300 pixels. Okay, 100 pixels is enough for me. Fine. Is this the way you want to keep the greeting? No, I wanted the background color to be little bit hash. Okay, little bit hash color. I don't want to be too catchy, but let me find a schema, color schema, but a good color schema. So for color scheme for website, let me search it. I just wanted to pick one. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, is this looking good? Not too bright. I think this, yeah, this is looking kind of me. Okay, so I'll go to the site. The color palette is given, the color code, the code for this color. I'll let you know how can you use the code. Okay. Oh. Okay. To use this color as your background, you need to insert this hex code here. So we can have a separate session on what is this hex code and what are the values, HSL values, and the different ways that you can define a color, and CSS can interpret the color. For now, let me give the code here. 8D 8741. 8741. Save, and you get the same color here. Okay. Tricky. I got the same color. Oh my god. This is kind of not neat. I just want to go with this yellow and this blue. Those are all my colors. 659 DVD or FBEEC1 first. FBEEC1. Save it. Oh, cool. Kind of cool. Yeah, fine. So inside greet, I have a H1. Okay. Greet user space H1. This means inside greet user, there is a h1. Okay, so I have given a width height here, and I should give a width of 100%. I just always want the element to occupy the entire space and the width and 100 pixels height. Entire width available and 100 pixels height. And I want to bring this text little bit below or center, but but to do that, I can actually say the padding, I can set the padding to 100 px, 50 px. Okay. So if I save it, if I refresh it, see what has happened here is that you have given a height of 100 pixels. You asked the element to have height of 100 pixels. On top of it, you said use a padding of 50 pixels on all the sides. Okay, so why I am taking so much time to explain this concept is that this is called box element, CSS block element model or box model. Yeah, I think it's box model. So I'm not much of a CSS guy, but I do have certain familiarity. So as for this level 0 course, you need to know the basics. You need to complete your level 0 training. But so you need to know about this. So I'm explaining you guys. Okay. So you need to come here, computed values. You can see. So you can assume it like this. The margin is outer layer, the border, all these properties will form a box. The kind of margin you are applying, the kind of border you are applying, the amount of padding you are applying, and the original height and width that you have assigned, all these values will make your element. What is that margin that you are applying? If I apply some margin, 10 pixels, when you said this is a shorthand for all the sides. Okay, when if you put one value, HTML thinks as if you assigned the 10 pixels margin all the sides. If you want, there is specific CSS property called margin left. It will only apply in left. So if you remove this, refresh it, it has only applied on 10 pixels on the left, and right hand side everything is set to none, null or zero or nothing. So it's a shorthand for applying, and same goes with padding too. Okay, for padding and margin, what is the order here? You could see this is the order: first, second, third, and fourth, clockwise. Okay, top, right, bottom, left. That's the order that HTML interprets. So you can even put it like this. This is another shorthand. You can have it in one line, and you can say like this: top, right, bottom, left. So if you would see, the right one should take 20 pixels margin and bottom. So all these values become one element. So you only said 100 pixels. What is the look at here, the palette that is coming below the elements, div.greet user 459 by 200. So you only asked the style, you only put the style height to 100 pixels, but actually the height is 200 because you put 50 pxs of padding on top and bottom, and some of the margin, and you can add some of the border to that element. Border 1px solid. So this is again a shorthand, and you can have a color too. So you can, yeah, I can hover this. I can put it a little bit darker and refresh it. See, there is a border is also assigned, and the border is also being calculated on the 4 sides. There's a border, and so you cannot always assume that I put only 100 pixels and it is only 100 pixels height. You need to calculate the kind of padding you assign, the amount of margin you put, and the size of the border that you have assigned. Okay, you need to keep in mind of these items. So the combination of the sum of all these properties and makes your block, and then you get to decide the next element. So yeah, this is all. GAN is good. Now I just wanted not to have any padding. I just want this to be simple. Did I like my border? No. So I just want the background color. And you can, if you don't know the style, that if you don't like the style of the font here, you can go to font.google.com. Okay. This is again Google search fonts.google.com. Sorry, I mess up sometimes. So I always keep this file, interfont. I like this interfont. Okay, for sake of demonstration, you can search like this, the favorite font you want. Okay, font is not free, so I can use I like Roberto, but I like Inter. Okay, you can go through this font and understand how it looks, and you can select how many styles you want. Like, I want thin one, I want regular one, I want semi-bold one, I want bold one. And once you made your selection, okay, and you can either download it, your font family, it get downloaded. But if our goal is to use this inside our code. So I click on this and I copy this. So the fonts will automatically copy this snippet. You can import in 2 seconds. You can copy this into your HTML, and you can put these links in your HTML as well. But I prefer the link way, because one, I don't have these things hosted on my site. They are coming from Google, and it is on a CDN, content delivery network. That means they load faster to the website. So having said that, now I changed my font. Okay, so this should the font here should look a bit different. No, they are not, because you have loaded the font, but you haven't applied the font anywhere. So that's the fact here. So you can say font family Inter. I imported the Inter. Inter is readily available. See, the moment I said Inter, now it was like this, and the moment I said Inter, save it. So Inter is already imported. The font is already imported here. So let me do some styles, font size 30 pixels. I just wanted to keep the color to a little bit lighter. So in the same family, I just wanted to brighten it. Okay, it should be a little bit darker. Fair enough. Box is good, and I just want it to be a little bit down, like it should come down. It's actually sticking on top, so I just wanted to bring it down. 2 ways you can do. You can give some padding on top and bottom, and obviously this will pull down. So I can go to the box element, greet user. This is the element, I can say Sorry. See, keep in mind, you always put a semicolon between two different CSS properties. Okay. And so padding, I need top to 30 pixels because 100 pixels. How many pixels is this? This is taking around 30 pixels. That means what I have 70 pixels on top and 70 pixels are totally left. Out of 100 pixels, 30 pixel the heading taken away. So I need to split this 70 pixels on top and bottom so that this element will be pushed to center. So that's my plan. So top 30, let's try it like this. Right 0, bottom 30, and left 0. If I save it, if I come here, this is the pitfall. See, the moment I added padding to the parent element, what happened? The size got increased. So this is not the way you center an element. Okay. There are different ways there's lot of modern ways to do that. Okay. So you can say, but one traditional way of doing it, increasing line height. 100 pixels. See, what I said is that I set this parent element height to 100 pixels, and when I set this, so always if you are creating a text element, if you are creating a line, a text line in HTML, there is a height decided for it. Okay, to a certain height decided for it, and inside the height, if this is the height, the text height is 100 pixels. The text fits in between, so in middle, so the top and bottom will be taken out for excess space, so it will always be aligned in middle. So I increase the line height. Line height is something that is graphically visible here, but the line height, one particular line height, I increase it to 100, and it has become the same height of the yellow line, and now automatically this is in between the entire height. And then let me put some margin left. Okay, sorry, margin left. See, nice. But if I'm starting something here and if I'm starting something here, it's not good, right? Everything should start from here to keep everything in a alignment. So I remove this one thing and I move it to another content container. One more technique to align your content is this. Okay, and you say margin right also 20 pixels. I wanted to keep some padding, keep some space between the page end and our container. So I put some margin on the left and put some margin on the right, and put this class. Okay, put your content, all your content inside another div called content. Okay, sorry, I'm not writing CSS here. So it's late night. I already lost my mind in a lot of works in the day today, so bear with me. So put all your content in the same element. Okay, see, so whenever you're putting the content inside your main element, the top 4 elements that are these, so keep this item. So if tomorrow someone says that I want this content to be a little bit right hand side, you can simply change, okay, 30 pixels here, and see all your content pushed between to a bit right. Okay, you change it one property and everything changes. So this is why I said, as I said, this content structure is important. Okay, Now mail to, I like some blue color, so okay. Greet user has gone. Contact me is here. Contact me. I just want the class background color. First of background color. I want some blue color. Sky blue. Not really sky blue, but yeah. Yellow and blue combination is my favorite. Okay, this is a little bit. That looks like they're not in the family. Though the color is different, I just wanted to keep them in the same shade. Not yet. Let's put lighter. I think it's fine. Yeah. Now I just want contact me size to have a little bit bigger. Okay. So always remember, instead of playing, styling height and, having some specific height to an element is always not preferred like this. Okay. There's another way to handle it. Okay. Even if I remove some height here, it doesn't matter. It changes nothing because I keep some line height here. So this is the key here. Okay. And you don't need to have this line item too, because you can always give some padding to this. So this is the next technique. Padding top and bottom 30 pixels and left and right to 0 pixels. This is another shorthand. See, same output. I just added some padding to this element. I haven't decided the width here, height here, and anything. So just keep the elements inside as bigger as possible so that the parent element. So if you inspect this, now if somebody removes this tomorrow, if somebody removes this content, okay, this goes, not goes, but it'll actually shrunk. It already shrunk. So if it is not, it's fluid now. Now it's fluid. It's not, if I have the height 100 pixels here, it's not fluid, right? If it's not fluid, so let me give you an example why it's not fluid. Okay, so irrespective whether I keep my element here or not, this space is kind of static. So if you want your elements to not too static, do not always keep the height here. Okay, keep the padding here. Padding is the key to handle. So if you don't like the height of it, you can always reduce the margin and font size, and you can still get the desired. So it's fluid now. You change two parameters and you change the layout. So I kind of like my old design. The padding is kind of 15, 25. So this is a kind of meticulous thing, but I always do my work like that. Okay, for now the paragraph tag, I don't really need to have a paragraph tag. I can have any tag. For instance, don't comment or take it to a next level of discussion. You can have any content, but I prefer paragraph tag here. So in the contact me section, I have a paragraph tag. What did I said? I said the font family. The change. So I just wanted to highlight these two words in a different way. So I can always have an inline element called span, and I can say P, inside P there is a, I can, inside P there is a span, and size of that font, size 50 px. Okay, color, blue color, kind of, I just want little dark. Okay, this one to a little dark. Okay, and this one to have 70 pixels. And I want to have some padding to my paragraph tag, like the same one, like 25, 0 pixels. Sorry, 15 and 0 pixels to match with the top object. Okay, I have added it on the span and here. Okay, fair enough. So now I'm seeing that this is actually, you know, gone too far. Why cannot I have it like this? I just need a little more padding. Fair enough. Clickable. And as soon as I click, it's actually, sorry, it's actually setting up some email accounts for me. So I don't really want to do that. Oh, yeah, I quit. So fair enough. So skill, yeah, some UL, li. Let me dump some content quickly. It's been a while I coded things in JS. I mean, sorry, HTML and CSS. But I consider myself as a professional in writing HTML and CSS, but it's really been a while. Catching up. So I've used reset CSS. So this is not making any sense as of as of now for you, but trust me, I've used reset CSS, so all the dots and paddings and everything has got missed. So okay, now I didn't like this, so that is good, but 60 is fine. But see here, one trick. Span is always an inline element. Okay, span an inline element. Now for the span, I set the display to block. So now immediately this becomes a block element. Remember, you can convert oh my god, I really have to Okay. I better keep this as white. Yeah, kind of good. Right? Okay, now skills, dark skills. Again, adding 30 pixels and 0 pixels. Background color, some other background color. Let me take this background color. What is the next? Maybe pink. No, not definitely pink, but baby red. Ah, refresh. This is a little bit too bright. Not fitting in the family, little bit. Okay, fine. Okay. Now skills does have also have a background color, and I just want keep this circles here. So how do I create a circle in CSS? Like first we have ULs and LIs. So we have to select that particular LI. Okay. Dot skills UL. Inside the UL there is an LI. Okay. All the elements, these LI elements are kind of not block elements. So I'm just making them display block. Okay. Or so inline block. Okay. What is inline block? Is that they behave like block element, but they fit in inline. Okay. Now I want to keep the background color as white. Fair enough. Padding to 50 px on all the sides. Fair enough. Border radius 50%. This is how you can create. So you are bending the borders. When you say border radius, you are bending the borders. So you can 75 pixels. Yeah, you can say 25. No, actually 50%. But this is not. But I'm not worried about the shape as of now. So let me keep it 50. And this is not in the center, so I can simply say skills text align center. They become center align. So now I can have a border. So I want to have a little bit border here. No border 1 px. I rather have 2 pixels. Solid. There are different ways you can have the style solid, dotted, inline. I mean, different dotted designs. Okay, so the same color, but the same color with a darker shade. Yeah, makes sense. Little bit. I mean, I'm not creating a world-class site here. I'm just creating something, you know. So I'll create a font family. I just need to say that you use this font family. So everything should be aligned. So the font weight. So there's this some more styles I have imported. Lighter version, the same font but a lighter thing. And font size. Okay, I can use the color scheme to have this. Yes, we are using the same color for the text inside also. So I'm just going with the same format. So you can understand the design basics too, because it's too flashy. It's not looking so professional, but the fundamentals are kind of same. So I'm just, you know, going to the visibility. Now you tell me which is actually in your right in your face. Okay, this is not in my face. This is actually in my face. So I always going back to my original goal, the original goal. That is to encourage the user to visit me here. So if this is not working out, so what is the problem here is that the problem here, the red color could have been here. So the color, so I just interchange the colors. I just interchange the background colors. Skills too. Fair enough. The border color is missing. So border, I just change it to something else. Okay, this is right in my face. This is also right in my face. So I don't want this to be 40 pixels. Fair enough. Now this is right in my face. So I can go on and on and on and on, and I can still decide, you know, what I have to do. So there are different, there's one more item that I just wanted to talk to you is background URL. Okay. Let me search one image. Okay, so oh, let's use something on my desktop. Let me hit a snapshot of this. Okay. Now I have this. Rename around, and I have it here. Okay, this is my CSS file, and this is my no, that's not my CSS file. So I just wanted to move it. So here is my project. So I'm moving my image to the project. Now you can assign images as a background to your HTML elements. You can assign a background to any element. Okay. So I just wanted to add it to a body element for now. Body background image with a URL, and you can select the image, or you can give. So the moment that you have assigned the background image, you could see, let me just, for time being, let me just remove everything here. See, the images that I've assigned is actually here. Okay, if you see, it is actually repeating itself. See, so you can say, so I actually zoomed it out to demonstrate that it is being repeated. So you can really say background repeat to only go on x-axis. Okay, only like this. So if background size is small, the image size is small, it can repeat. You can put some more background images as if they are tiles and fill the white space there. So you can repeat it x, you can repeat it y, so it will only repeat in y, and you can say no repeat. Okay, it will only take one. So also there is another way to stretch this image or fill the white space with the image with a proper perspective. There are different background image, you can set there are different ways. You can set the position. Okay, you can set the blend mode. Okay, and you can size. Okay, you can set the size to contain it, cover it. This is you can set the size to it, but if you say contain, it will only appear in the same place. If you say cover, okay, it will stretch no matter whatever the size it will stretch the image and to fill the same space. So you can say cover, background size to cover, and it will actually stretch the image or shrink the image to fit the element size. Okay, so that's the background image concept. So you can have one image of your style or your personal photograph as a background and not have these CSS. So the cover is actually covering with the perspective. The image is maintaining the aspect ratio and actually filling the entire available width. So if image aspect ratio is 16:9, so if the browser size is also 16:9, ratio is also browser size ratio is also 16:9, it will fill the area. If it is not, it will not fill. So basically, so this is not an ideal background image for HTML that I just cropped it from my desktop, so you may see it. But with a proper image, you can actually put it to repeat and fill your entire page. Or you can have some background image in the background, put some text on it. So that's another different strategy. So I just wanted to cover that. So since we talked about, so I want to stop my session here. And I've given some important links from Mozilla Developer Network and other important sources that I like, CSS Tricks website. I've given few of the content links below. You can go through with them and understand and CSS, more about CSS, and complete the subsequent assignments. And so this is kind of a basic introduction. The resources will help you to understand more about CSS and design or develop your subsequent assignments to submit for the level 1 course. So thank you guys. I know I haven't done there are a few things I should have talked about, but given the time and the length of this video, I just wanted to keep it here. So let me know in the comments. Thank you.